Hey friends, I wanted to record another update to tell you about some things that are happening this week. And I realized it's been 2 months since I did an update. And I thought, oh my goodness, a lot has happened since then. And there are a lot of things happening this week specifically that I thought I need to make a video and get on and tell people what's been going on. So, the first thing I want to tell you, and I'm going to do another post about it as well, is that I am a featured guest on a podcast that is dropping tomorrow. A very good friend of mine, Nikki Smith, her podcast is called A Heart That Beats for Home. It's a wonderful podcast that focuses on parenting and marriage and the home. And we were neighbors years ago and have stayed friends. And she invited me to talk about mom guilt and shame and some other things. We had so much fun having a conversation and preparing for the podcast. It was the first time I'd been on a podcast. I loved it. And it drops tomorrow as part of her parenting season that she's doing a parenting series this summer. And this podcast episode is a part of that. So I will post the information for that, but the podcast is called A Heart That Beats for Home. Nikki Smith, it's her podcast, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. The second thing is that there is a new blog post that is up on the blog called Freedom from Heavy Expectations. So this is for all of those recovering perfectionists like me, people who are working hard, pressing after the Lord, feeling sorrow when they're messing up, when they're not hitting the mark, when they're struggling with sin more than they want to. This is a blog post for you that is all about breaking free from that and receiving the love that the Lord has for you. And so I would encourage you to check it out. And I hope that that will feel encouraging for you. The third thing, for those of you who are local, and you can see my dog there in the corner. For those of you who are local, I'm going to be speaking at our church this Saturday for a city fellowship, 6 p.m. in Rockford, Illinois. And I'm really excited. I've been praying and preparing, and God has been talking to me a lot about the power of communion, and specifically just all of the different ways that communion facilitates union with Christ. And it's a very rich, powerful experience for us. So everything from being united in death, which is how we're able to really lay that old man down, to die to the flesh, those things that we're still struggling with. When we unite with Jesus in communion, it allows us to die to sin again every time we take communion, and then also to connect with the resurrection power that lives in us through the Holy Spirit, that we are raised to new life with Christ the same way that He conquered death and sin, that we are united with that through His death and resurrection, and communion reminds us of that, as well as just some other things, how we can use communion for worship and for warfare, and just to keep us feeling close to Jesus, our incredible high priest. So again, if you're local, I'd love to encourage you to come. I'm also going to work on filming it or recording it so that I can post it here on the YouTube channel, so that other people, if you're not local, that you could still check it out. And that's happening. So that's several things happening this week. And then also, if you haven't noticed, I have a microphone. Part of being on the podcast with Nikki, which was so fun, is I was learning just about her journey with creating content and some of the tools that she's using. And I asked her for recommendations because I thought, I really like recording and I'd like to do more content, and I'd love to learn how to make it sound a little bit better, and just to start getting some of these fun tools that I can use when I'm creating work to share with you guys, to encourage you, to support you, to build you up. So the headphones are my daughter's, but the microphone is mine. And I have some fun, creative things that I'm hoping to offer during the summer. This is kind of a fun time for me, as I'm not homeschooling so many hours during the week because it's summer. I'm really enjoying having a little bit more space for creativity, for writing, for creating content, thinking of ways to share it, things like that. So I'm excited to share all these things with you, and hopefully there will be new blog posts, video messages, things like that coming soon. I'm also hoping, in my last update, I talked about a talk I was going to be doing on stress that I did. It was such an amazing retreat. I was really, really blessed by it. And the talk on stress was really fun to give, and I got some great feedback about it. So I'm working on changing the format so that I would be able to post it in a way that you guys could also listen to it. And I'm still processing, researching, figuring out how to do that. So those are my things. I'm going to put the links in the bottom of this video, but please be looking for that podcast tomorrow, A Heart That Beats for Home. Also check out the blog post about freedom from heavy expectations. Again, if you're local to Rockford, I'd love to invite you to come join us on Saturday night. And yeah, I hope that I will have some new encouraging things to share with you soon. So check back and see what's happening next.